This is episode 5 of the Alien Agenda. If you missed any of the previous episodes, check out the playlist pinned in the comments section below. On September 13, 1990, a triangular UFO appeared at a long-range radar detection base near Samara. It destroyed a 15-meter antenna by melting it with 3 beams fired toward the station. This was reported by the newspaper Za Rodinu of the Volga-Ural Military District. However, the publication was officially refuted by command, possibly due to higher orders. What's more intriguing here is the question of why UFOs seem to dislike detection stations so much. No refutations followed an incident in Ethiopia, though, where in August 1970, a fiery orb destroyed 50 houses, injuring 8 people and killing 1. Or in Senegal, in September 1980, when a UFO destroyed 50 small buildings and 9 large ones, while residents sought refuge from unbearable heat. In Rue de Short, England, on September 8, 1973, a similar object lifted the roof of a garage and deposited it on a neighboring house. Some suspect that the UFO used its magnetic properties. Magnetism appears to be one of the constant features of UFOs, possibly even a basic requirement for gravitational flight. The magnet, presumably, is part of the propulsion system that enables a UFO to escape Earth's gravity and effectively transforms it into a small, autonomous planet, capable of independent movement and maneuvering. Given the shape of the craft, it can be assumed that the magnet itself is likely round, and that creating gravity may require it to rotate. There is a relative similarity here to an electric motor. The interaction of electricity and the magnet, as one might imagine, is what enables aliens to fly. Initially, a UFO rises to a low height, usually 30 to 40 meters. At that point, its system activates to full power, propelling it at tremendous speeds. However, such components can, theoretically, be created on Earth as well. According to American physicist Bob Lazar, who studied a crashed UFO model, its engine includes a reactor that runs on a heavy metal. This metal is unknown to Earth science, but supposedly produces antimatter. It is hypothesized to have an atomic weight of 115, which splits to form an element weighing 116, which quickly decays. 3 spherical gravity amplifiers located under the UFO aid in propulsion. Gravitational technology will cease to be inaccessible to us in the not-too-distant future. That is, if we can unravel the mechanisms driving UFO propulsion, and if we're allowed to by intelligent brethren who are carefully watching over us. The control systems of the craft and its energy regeneration systems could likely also be understood if we grasp the general laws of gravity, a goal Einstein aspired to. The rotation of electromagnets in a motor could be compared to a tornado, capable of lifting tons of water, earth, sand, and iron as if they were mere feathers. This raised the question, could a swirling, electrified vortex create a weightless zone inside, relieving objects of their weight? Could this explain the phenomenon of gravity or anti-gravity that neutralizes Earth's mass, albeit briefly, while the wheels of air rotate? And might it be possible to harness this magical spiral, to bring it under human control? Could we create magnetic forces or devices that could stabilize the moment of liftoff and make it manageable? These, of course, were only empirical suppositions, but could they lead somewhere? Moving beyond speculation, let's look at the following facts. In the summer of 1976, on the Vashka River near the village of Yurtom in the Komi Republic, tractor drivers found a white metal fragment of an unusual shape. They even tried to hack it open, but the fragment emitted silent sparks up to 60 to 70 centimeters long. Puzzled, the tractor drivers handed their discovery over to scientists just to be safe. Samples were sent to several research institutions, including the All-Union Research Institute of Nuclear Geophysics and Geochemistry. The object appeared to be a circular segment, with a diameter calculated at 120 centimeters. Analysis showed it was an alloy of rare earth elements, primarily cerium, over 67%, along with lanthanum, 11%, and neodymium, around 9%, with traces of iron, magnesium, uranium, and molybdenum. The sample contained 140 times the usual concentration of pure uranium, but no uranium decay products. All elements were isotopically of terrestrial origin, yet their combination was unique to Earth. Scientists studying the sample were particularly struck by the purity of its components. Lanthanum, notably, was found in an exceptionally pure form, whereas it usually occurs with other related elements. But what surprised them most was the fragment's magnetic properties. Its magnetic force exceeded that of synthetic magnets by over 20 times. Even more astonishing was its manufacturing process. It's believed to have been made using powder metallurgy under pressures of 20,000 atmospheres, conditions barely attainable on Earth. Scholars speculated about the purpose of this segment. Was it part of a mechanism or device, perhaps for cooling fuel or serving as fuel itself? The alloy was estimated to be no older than 30 years. Opinions on its origin diverged. Either it was discarded during a UFO repair, or was a fragment of an exploded craft. But if so, where were the remaining parts? It's conceivable that it was part of a rotating magnet in an alien craft, powering a gravity unit, left on Earth following repairs. This would imply that the device was constructed from terrestrial materials yet crafted using alien technology. Besides military targets, UFOs often appear over ancient crystalline shields on Earth. In Brazil, South Africa, the Urals, Siberia, and over clusters of iridium sands in eastern Kazakhstan, where almost all elements of Mendeleev's table can be found, especially rare earth ones. This suggests that our visitors might be scavenging Earth's supplies, particularly the rarest and most unique ones. Could this be one reason for their frequent visits to Earth? If we consider other planets in the solar system, comparable elements are unlikely to be as accessible. Mercury, being close to the Sun, has an upper layer scorched by high temperatures alternating with cosmic cold, since it lacks an atmosphere. Venus is a fiery world of hot steam, gases, and volcanic activity, all indicating its ongoing formation. Working on its surface would be risky, even for aliens equipped with reliable protective gear. Mars, which likely once had water and an atmosphere, has since lost them. It was likely well surveyed for resources long ago, and now may serve primarily as a staging base or a working laboratory. Jupiter, with its intense internal processes, resembles a star that didn't quite form. It's gaseous and lacks any surface to land on. However, the moons of Jupiter and Saturn offer some potential for exploration. But for now, it seems that Earth, with its atmosphere, diverse climates, and geological systems, is the most favorable destination for extraterrestrial visitors among the planets. It is unknown, though, whether our atmosphere is suitable for their respiration. The Sun, of course, is excluded as a landing option due to its high temperatures and unpredictable explosive events. At present, scientists can only predict the peak of the Sun's 11-year activity cycles, a matter of vital importance to Earth and its inhabitants. Light displays. Everyone who has seen UFOs in the evening, when they most commonly appear, reports that these crafts emit bright rays that don't spread out, but instead narrow at the ground. These light cones also seem capable of engulfing objects. Some witnesses have reported them moving slowly, while extending and retracting beams as if scanning the surface. Pilots have observed similar occurrences. One even flew through such a beam experimentally, or perhaps daringly, and heard a rustle as if the plane were breaking through a thin shell. In 1979, a UFO in Monaco was seen with 10 beams. In December 1978, near the Paris metro station, a sun-like sphere emitted 8 rays, each as wide as the UFO's diameter. It seems that aliens somehow encase these specific beams in a fragile yet tangible form, enabling them to collect microscopic soil samples. Certain beams can heat the Earth until it's red-hot, absorbing and lifting it, while others sway objects. Scientists believe these are ionized particle streams. In other words, it's possible that the aliens are engaging in aerospace geo-exploration. This, of course, remains speculative, but such phenomena are not rare. From 1970 to 1980, 210 objects emitting light beams were documented in the USA alone. Controlled beams have also been observed in various locations in Europe, Russia, and even Antarctica. On August 13, 1970, Danish police officer Ewald Morup witnessed such a beam, noting its ability either to avoid obstacles or to pass through them. On January 16, 1976, in East Jutland, Denmark, a witness saw a reddish object hovering over a lake, shining with the colors of the rainbow, resembling an aurora borealis. When the object rose, she saw that it emitted what looked like a pipe, which retracted into the hull. French researcher Jean Herring called these beams solid light beams. They don't scatter and remain just as bright at their endpoint as at their source. Some observers compared them to neon tubes. In Göbekli in 1985, pilots on the Ashgabat air route saw an alien cigar, from which 3 blue beams emerged, each ending in glowing spheres. Even stranger are light shows where beams curve as the aliens desire. On January 1986, at 5 in the morning, a bus driver in Sicily saw a brilliant emerald green beam curve, after which the object releasing it shot into the sky. On July 8, 1965, the Argentine Ministry of Naval Forces released a statement saying that one of its units on its Deception base in Antarctica observed a flying object in the shape of a convex lens with predominantly black and green colors, sometimes with yellow, blue, green, white, and orange tails. The object moved at terrifying speed and caused electromagnetic interference with devices at the base. UFOs can also emit intermittent beams with alternating light and dark sections. Light pulses seem to run along these beams like an illumination effect, disappearing within 3 to 4 seconds. This phenomenon was observed over Leningrad in 1984, in suburban Beskudnikovo in 1975, and on Vancouver Island in 1970. Certain beams, when encountering obstacles, resume their path after a short distance, continuing as if nothing had happened. In all these cases, it's unlikely we are dealing with actual light rays. It seems more like something from the realm of plasma pulses. In 1967, a school principal in Jefferson City saw an alien cigar whose beam made his parked car transparent. The principal felt uncomfortable as he could see the engine through the dashboard, although he escaped with only a mild fright. A Brazilian man named Paperu fainted from a similar incident in São Paulo in May 1973. The witness was later found in the hospital with purple-blue spots on his abdomen and back, caused by the blue light a UFO had directed at his car. Many witnesses reported feeling paralyzed or fearful in such situations. It's possible that the aliens are aware of human pressure points and respond to them as if warning, "Don't come closer!" This may not contradict modern science at all. In the United States, a large group of scientists, at the request of the CIA, researched how certain wave emissions could affect the human brain, heart, and lungs. They identified wave ranges that induced panic, unbearable headaches, increased heart rate, disorientation, drowsiness, suggestibility, cardiac arrest, lung paralysis, and stroke. Leading experts in psychotronics, psychology, and other fields were involved in this research, which used hallucinogens and was part of experiments on psychotropic and bioenergetic influence on individuals for purposes of intelligence or disabling individuals. They also investigated information weaponry, capable of subjugating a person's will and implanting thoughts as desired by the experiment's authors. Several doctors conducting these experiments eventually did something I can't really mention here. In Canada, several patients subjected to such testing filed lawsuits against the experimenters. It's conceivable, then, that aliens also possess various ways of influencing people. Some individuals who reported close encounters with our cosmic visitors described their craft as emitting sleep-inducing rays, effectively switching off a person. And who knows, perhaps the aliens have shared their expertise with our military? When preparing for operations in Afghanistan in the fall of 2001, an American general stated on October 21st that they would deploy a new, extremely powerful weapon resembling a cannon that fires wave energy from a tube or black box. The U.S. also planned to use aircraft that, like chameleons, change color according to the landscape they're flying over. There was another innovation: helicopters that could become invisible. Does any of this sound familiar? UFOs may negatively impact a person's physical state, even without malicious intent from their pilots, simply due to the strong magnetic radiation associated with their gravitational systems. This influence is somewhat akin to solar flares that cause significant magnetic disturbances in Earth's atmosphere. Today, we know that certain days of increased solar activity are especially adverse for health, and warnings are issued in advance. This is particularly important for people in specific professions. For instance, drivers with vascular weaknesses or high blood pressure are advised not to go on the road. Magnetic disturbances may cause red blood cells, which contain iron, to magnetize, clump together, and impede circulation in the brain and throughout the body. A person's reaction time slows, making any rapid action painful, and feelings of irritability and discomfort arise. There's a drive to take some sharp, decisive action. People may feel an urge to move. For seemingly inexplicable reasons, entire nations may take action, sparking wars or migrations to other continents. Another reaction to magnetic storms is a desire to settle old grievances and correct perceived injustices. A solar flare becomes a kind of catalyst, activating old intentions, resentments, and smoldering protests. The sun, in releasing powerful energy-magnetic bursts towards Earth, stimulates in humans a desire to change their way of life, resolve all conflicts, and put an end to what annoys them. This inner drive to release aggression often leads to serious complications for those around them. The influence of solar activity on human life is well documented. A detailed chronological table spanning the last few millennia shows how many historical events, upheavals, migrations, wars, revolutions, and counter-revolutions coincided with peaks of solar activity. One of the preferred spots for alien visits is believed to be areas where it's assumed that UFOs draw energy from Earth's emissions, likely also restoring their physiological potential. After all, they spend extensive time in confined spaces, lacking the revitalizing influence of nature and breathing a gas mixture that doesn't fully restore their physical and mental strength. Recharging with natural emissions restores the energy balance of our guests. Despite all their scientific and technical advancements, they, like Antaeus, still need to draw strength from Mother Earth. Many researchers have identified several spots on Earth associated with underground faults in the Earth's crust. Some UFOs can reappear in the same locations, which are then considered anomalous zones. Such regular visits also occurred in New Mexico, for obvious reasons. The atomic centers. It's less clear why they visited the Papuans in New Guinea or near Huesca in Spain, as well as in Colima, where they appeared 50 times. One such area is located in northern Canada. Wilbert Smith, a Canadian engineer investigating plane crashes over Canada, discovered areas near crash sites with pronounced energy anomalies. He called these zones columns of weakened atomic bonds. They would form on the Earth's surface and rise into the sky as elongated discharges in the morning hours. He believed they could cause lethal damage to aircraft. Perhaps the aliens' special interest in Canada was related to these areas. The main question was why UFOs frequently appeared near power places. During one abduction in Argentina, the aliens explained that Earth has two places with fault lines in the crust, releasing powerful energy that fuels their engines. In this case, alien ships come there to recharge. When asked about this energy, the aliens replied, "This energy is currently unknown to humans. You haven't reached that level yet." They were urged, "Then help us understand it. It would be amazing." But supposedly, they replied, "No, this energy cannot be handed to you. You would destroy your entire planet. You aren't morally ready to wield this kind of energy. You haven't grown up." As mentioned, they may also be interested in our planet due to its contents. Elements that they mine here, many of which are rare earths. The term rare earth could be interpreted broadly, as rare not only on Earth, but also in the universe. Thus, they could be called rare cosmic elements. This might explain their interest in them, especially since they produce the type of energy that cannot yet be entrusted to Earthlings. The time for that has not yet come. But when it does, will there still be unique reserves of these elements on Earth? Americans base their electronics industry on these elements, creating new construction materials and pioneering fields of science. Some deposits, like that of germanium, which is crucial in radio electronics, can be counted on one hand in the United States, and they are guarded closely. It's also known that reserves of these elements in Central Asia, particularly in Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, are closely monitored by American experts. Keep an eye out for Episode 6, where we dive underwater to investigate why UFOs are prowling our oceans and rivers.